Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey, you guys know what today is?
Hump Day!
No, it's Valentine's Day. But it is Hump Day.
Wow.
I know, it's so exciting. I know, I care an awful lot about Valentine's Day. No, if you're one of those people who gets totally geeked out about Valentine's Day, that's awesome. I envy you. I've never cared about it. Actually, I've had some pretty nice Valentine's Days in the past, I will say.
So now you're bragging.
No, I'm just saying it I think after you have kids, it becomes very meh. Right?
Because you have to go buy Valentine's for everybody in the class.
Well, you know what? That is a really good point, and I wasn't even thinking about that. But yes, that used to be you have to go get enough for the class, and if you had 5 kids in the school, which I did for 1 year at the same time, all of them in the same school, it was like, so I agree with you. I love today's thumbnail. What do you guys think of Traitors? You guys know all the players there. Indeed you do. Indeed you do. Today's show is, there's going to be a lot of reading. I'm going to read a lot to you today. I do not like shows.
Well, there is homework.
That's heavy on the reading, but it's necessary.
And there's homework. Your homework is to join the locals page. And I posted it, the Matt Taibbi interview after the show, and he'll explain a lot of things that we just don't have time to get into. And because he's the one that's been following this for how long?
What are you talking? Dry. What are you talking about? They don't know what you're talking about.
It's a live stream on Russiagate and all the stories behind it and all the crap that these people have been doing to us. But definitely check out the locals page. You don't have to subscribe to see the Matt Taibbi.
Today is one of those days where we're going to encourage you to go a step further and to click on that link underneath the video box, right, Brock? It's right there.
It comes
locals,
up
locals.com, just search Wendy Bell Radio. Because everything that we talk about every single day, like this is just the first hour. And it's all of the links that you click on and you do your own reading. And the one that Brock is alluding to is independent journalist and
I'm drinking my Field of Greens.
And Twitter Files journalist Matt Taibbi. And he and Michael Schellenberger and another journalist, a woman, have gotten into these documents. Think it's a woman. It is. He said it's Alexandra.
Oh, I thought he said Alexander.
Well, I'm used to being wrong. So whatever she is, whatever she identifies or they identify
a journalist.
As, they are breaking this huge story that we need to talk about today. And it is going to connect a lot of dots of suck that we have long been talking about, dots that I have been fired for, that I've been ridiculed for, that I have been silent, censored, banned for. And today is a very good day to be an American, particularly if you've been accused of being a conspiracy theorist.
Today is the day to get comfortable with people calling you a conspiracy theorist, a nut job, a whack job. Wear it as a badge of honor, because today is the day that you need to step up and say, oh, yeah,
how do you like me now?
Read this.
How do you like me now?
Read that.
Yes. And the thing is, and Brock and I were talking about it on the way in, there's no like victory lap.
None.
There's no, see, I told you so, because everything that we've been talking about sucks. And it's not good for us. But you have to be able to see it and to understand it and to be interested enough into researching it a little bit. And we provide you the links. We're trying to make it easy for you. Think of us as your Cliff Notes. Right? So I'll give you 10 or 15 minutes on something. We'll kick it around. And then I'm kind of like going bleh onto you and say, now, what do you want to do with it? And a lot of people are turning off their usual news sources, realizing that this has all been one elaborate scheme of suck. And
by all the people you're told they're the experts in their field and they're trustworthy.
We're going to start right out of the gates, like literally out of the Pledge of Allegiance. I have so much we've got to talk about. I'm going right to a transcribed interview with Tony Bobolinsky before House Oversight yesterday. And it is damning. It is everything you need to know about the crime family syndicate that you already know.
And the music you're hearing, I have to play that. That's for our radio stations. So you're going to hear the music in the background.
It's my favorite song, actually. Brock wanted to play it for me on our special Valentine's Day celebration together because we both think this holiday is super legitimate. Whatever. If you love Valentine's, have a great, great day.
Don't tell people what to do.
I will absolutely do it now.
Do it now. Rebel, do it now.
Do it live.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hello, America, and beyond the fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. Delighted to be here to share with you, I believe, some very important news today. I'm going to start by telling you this is a joyful, celebratory day. This is the finest day to be an American because the suck is unraveling. And it's unraveling at warp speed. And we're going to drop an awful lot of information on you today. And I'm going to read to you an awful lot of news that you're likely not going to get other places. Today is the day we encourage you to join our locals page. It is free for you. If you wish to subscribe later, fine. We'd love that. But locals.com, search Wendy Bell Radio. We're going to give you every single link that we talk about today so that you can do your own investigating. You can do your own educating, and you decide what you want to do with the information you receive. It's what we do. Common sense conservatism. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. The big story they want us talking about today is the House impeaching Alejandro Mayorkas. That is all I'm going to say about the House impeaching Alejandro Mayorkas, because that is not the big story today. There are many headlines that we will dutifully and surgically walk through. We will give you enough information so that you determine whether you're interested or not. You will be. Because all of the conspiracy theorists out there who have long ago started to awaken and ask questions, and who were finger pointed, who were demonized and name called and banned and blocked and canceled and fired, right? All of the things that you've been hearing that we've been talking about are coming true because we've been presenting you with facts. I'm going to begin with what I thought was one of the biggest things yesterday. Behind closed doors, House oversight, digging into the impeachment of Joe Biden. I want you to remember, as we wake up on this day and we talk about what's going on, that we've been living in a years-long, massive High School Musical wrap-up smear of lies, of fake news, of propaganda, of garbage, that Joe Biden still is the most corrupt person we have ever had as president of the United States. And that is saying something. Tony Bobulinski appeared before the committee doing the investigation into the impeachment of Joe Biden. And he gives, this is all behind closed doors, but he hands over a written beginning, if you will. Hello, my name is Tony Bobulinski. I am here to do blank. And I want to read the salient points to you. I'm giving up the monologue because it is that important that we remember, as all this other stuff is going on, Joe Biden and the Biden crime family syndicate have enriched themselves to the tune of tens of millions of dollars, and they have sold access to the name, to the office, to America, to bad actors. That is the predicate of today's show. This is from Tony Bobulinski, former business partner of the Biden crime family syndicate. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you, he says, to the chairman, ranking members, and members of Congress. I'm happy that the American people will finally hear the facts and the evidence that I've been trying to outline for over 4 years, all backed up and supported by emails, texts, documents, records, pictures, and other evidence. The facts we are going to discuss today are important for America's national security. And I can only hope that everyone in this room and all representatives and officers of the U.S. government take them seriously. My name is Tony Bobulinski. I'm a proud American citizen who has honorably served the United States in several capacities. He goes on to talk about his military background. I am here today out of duty to God and country in a nonpartisan manner with only one party in mind, the party I served with honor and gratitude, the United States of America. He's going to go into all of these background issues for himself, but then he says, for nearly 4 years, I have tried to tell the American people the truth about serious corruption at the very top of their government. In return, I have been falsely accused of being a purveyor of Russian disinformation and a political surrogate. My continuous efforts to inform the American people of the facts have been actively suppressed by both the United States government and the so-called mainstream media. I want to be crystal clear. From my direct personal experience and what I have subsequently come to learn, it is clear to me that Joe Biden was the brand being sold by the Biden family. His family's foreign influence peddling operation from China to Ukraine and elsewhere sold out to foreign actors who were there seeking to gain influence and access to Joe Biden and the United States government. Joe Biden was more than a participant in and beneficiary of his family's business. He was an enabler, despite being buffered by a complex scheme to maintain plausible deniability. The only reason any of these international business transactions took place, with tens of millions of dollars flowing directly to the Biden family, was because Joe Biden was in high office. The Biden family business was Joe, period. Other key players have made this point very clear as well. Hunter Biden himself has adamantly stated in a variety of communications, as did other Biden family business associates, including Devin Archer in his testimony last year. Foreign nationals on the other side of these transactions, including from China, Ukraine, and Romania, have also explained how and why these transactions took place. Once again, I would call that extensive evidence, which he then lays out critically important facts. Number one, Joe Biden was aware of the CEFC transaction. This is the Chinese Communist Party through its surrogate China Energy Company Limited, which basically was working with Hunter Biden on a range of nefarious things, enabled it. Joe Biden enabled the work with CEFC and had a constitutional responsibility and obligation to the American people to shut it down before it began. This is because CEFC had been identified as a known surrogate of the Chinese Communist Party by the U.S. government. He goes on. Number two, Joe Biden's immediate family members were enriched to the tune of tens of millions of dollars from some of our most dangerous adversaries, including the Chinese Communist Party and players from Russia, Ukraine, Romania, Kazakhstan, and other foreign nations and entities. It is my educated belief, dating back to his Q clearance briefings, that gives him military security clearance, I received in the Navy and continuing through recent discussions with experts that under U.S. corruption laws, political office holders can be held responsible as the immediate family members who are receiving money directly. Number 3, the Biden family. Joe's son Hunter and his brother Jim knowingly and aggressively defrauded me as the CEO of Sino-Hawk Holdings, in which he was in a business deal with Hunter Biden. Number 4, United States law enforcement appears to have been singularly unwilling to speak with me or to hear the facts we will be discussing today. I have never been contacted to provide testimony, nor asked to speak with anyone connected with Joe Biden's administration, including his Department of Justice, the FBI, the IRS, or local law enforcement. That includes U.S. Attorney David Weiss for the District of Delaware, or any of the several grand juries I now know were convened after my name became publicly known. On October 23rd, 2020, I voluntarily walked into the Washington field office of the FBI with several phones containing years of encrypted communications between me and numerous members of the Biden family and their associates. That conversation, which was subject to false statement statutes, lasted many hours and was never followed up upon by anyone in government or law enforcement in any way. Rather, when the House Ways and Means Committee recently released the FBI 302 report of that meeting, Hunter Biden's lawyers laughably tried to use a single note-taking error by a junior FBI agent to accuse me falsely of lying about certain things in my testimony. I sit here before each of you, before 2 of the premier committees of Congress, Oversight and Judiciary, and I implore each and every one of you to remove your partisan hats and to focus on one party, the United States of America. I hope your focus will be on a thorough and extensive investigation and exposure of all the facts and evidence, and on answering the question of how we as a country allowed the White House to be infiltrated by our most existential adversary, the Chinese Communist Party. I also hope you will hold the complicit parties, including Joe Biden, accountable for their actions, as well as enact new laws that prevent this kind of deep corruption from ever happening again. God bless America, and I am ready for your questions. Ladies and gentlemen, one more whistleblower, one more truth teller, one more fact seeker, one more bombshell. Who out there is still hypnotized? Because it is time to wake up. I'm Wendy Bell, and you're dialed into the Wendy Bell Radio Network. We're back right after this. I had to start with that, guys. Huge. And you can see the give and go what happened. Some news reports out there, not a lot. But that was far bigger than the House voting to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas. That shows alignment in the Republican Party, a unanimity we've never seen. Or almost never see. That's fine. This is real. Tony Bobulinski with the receipts, with the phones, with the encrypted data, with all of it, much like John Paul McIsaac, the Delaware tech repair guy, who got Hunter Biden's laptop when Hunter Biden dropped it off with 2 other laptops. What did John Paul McIsaac do? He called the freaking FBI and he said, I've got something, you need to see it, thinking that they should be the good guys, right? Not knowing that they've long been not. And they took the stuff. Thank God he made a copy. And they never got in touch with him again. Tony Bobulinski, same story. I've come before you to testify because our own FBI is not interested because they are complicit. Other than that, I've got nothing. Hey, Brock, tell me. How is Field of Greens? So here's the story. He's like, oh, I forgot to bring my shaker thing today to have Field of Greens. I said, you know what? I brought mine. Why don't you drink it today instead? So I gave him the lemon lime, right? And I mix it for him and I put ice cubes in it. And I'm like, I want to hear your honest opinion. And he chugs it. And I'm like, no, dude, I need you to have it to talk about it. So he made himself a wild berry and he's drinking his second one. So Field of Greens, all these whole organic fruits and vegetables to basically make you healthy from the inside out. Every single ingredient purposely selected for a quality for benefit for your inner organs and everything. Brock, take it away.
I would say don't smell it. But it is very good. The lemon lime is fantastic. Which is this one?
That's a wild berry.
I like it too.
Yeah. I prefer lemon lime, but they're both damn good.
They're both good. Like this one's half gone and I already chugged the other one.
And then I want to know about a couple hours into this if you are hungry, because I know we each kind of get like pangs of hunger in the show, because it'll completely kill your appetite for a good hour and a half.
Well, I've already been to the bathroom twice.
Well, there you go. It's
good.
It's the real deal.
It's really good.
And if the shine on my hair or the fabulosity of everything about my skin.
It does smell like grass clippings.
Yeah. But you know what? I don't want it to smell like a sweet tart. I want it to smell like it's got something good in it.
Yeah.
And it smells like it's got something good in it. Field of Greens, 15% off, fieldofgreens.com, promo code Wendy. All right, so we've set up today's show. I've read to you the most salient facts of Tony Bobulinski's introduction to his question answering before the House Judiciary, okay? House Oversight. It is hugely important to remember John Paul McIsaac, the guy who owned the Delaware tech repair shop where Hunter Biden, who was clearly stoned out of his mind, dropped off 3 laptops for repair, not to return to get them. One of those was the quote laptop from hell. As John Paul McIsaac was going through, trying to fix water damage or whatever it was, he obviously saw things that were highly questionable. He reached out to the FBI thinking the FBI would be interested. They took the laptop and they left and they never came back and he was stunned. What's going on? You have no other questions for me? I know what I saw on the laptop, and it was awful, and it was damning, and it's pictures, and it's videos, and it's drug use, and it's prostitution, and it's wire transfers, and it's money deposits, and it's all this stuff, and it's terrible, and the FBI never came back. Similarly, Tony Bobulinski went to the FBI. Look at these encrypted cell phones. I've got all these messages. I've got proof. They listened to him. And they never got back in touch. Ladies and gentlemen, your FBI sucks. Sucks. Soup to nuts. There are few agents. Stephen Friend. Others who've stepped forward. Kyle, whatever his last, Seraphin. Whistleblowers. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a serious problem. Huge. You're awake. I want to play something for you. This is yesterday. This is Dan Goldman, who carries the majority of the Democrats' water. And he's talking about the impeachment vote against Alejandro Mayorkas. And he's going to carry the propaganda lies until he's dead. He's going to keep saying the same lies. And I want you to hear this particular one as we then drill him with some facts on the flip side. Here is Dan Goldman.
That's what this is all about. It is taking a scalp for Secretary Mayorkas for the MAGA base and trying to lay the blame at his feet for a situation at the border that needs to be addressed, but can only be addressed by legislation, not by executive action.
Actually incorrect, Dan. You are lying. You are lying every single time your lips are moving. You are lying. So I found this website, migrationpolicy.org. Who knew there was such a thing? There is. On January 20th, 2021, the day Joe Biden was inaugurated, he made 9 or 10 executive orders. Unilateral pen signature on paper making a decision, cataclysmic decision. One of those was shutting down Keystone XL. 7 of the other ones were regarding the border. Biden has taken, in his first year in office, took nearly 300 executive actions on immigration. Do not tell me, Dan, that it's up to Congress to fix this, you hack. During his first, this is mind-numbing, during his first 364 days as president, Joe Biden took 296 executive actions on immigration, as compared to 86 during Donald Trump's first year, and 472 during the entire 4 years of Trump's presidency. Of Biden's 296 immigration actions, for all of those out there who think this is a Trump thing and everybody knows it's not, but here's your factual data that you can use. Of those 296 Biden immigration actions, 89 reversed or started to undo Trump policies, making clear the administration was 100% down with opening the border. 7 executive orders on the first day that had to do with the border. Dan, refute that, sir. God, I wish I was that anchor on the other side of the lens. Excuse me, Congressman, I understand what you're saying because your mouth is moving. Tell me, what about those 296 executive orders in the first year that had to do with immigration, and the 86 or so that had to do with, or 89 that had to do with unraveling Donald Trump's Remain in Mexico and Title 42 and catch and release and everything else? What about that, sir? Because there is no debate. It's all listed, even CNN right here. And this is why I encourage you to join our Locals page today. It is free for you to do so. Locals.com, put in Wendy Bell Radio. Boom, you will get there. All of these links, including this one from CNN Politics. Every single Joe Biden executive order he has taken since the minute he took his hand off of that Bible and lied to the American people about vowing to defend our sovereignty, to put Americans first, all of it, very neatly for you in a CNN hyperlink. So where are we going in today's program? Because we're just getting a little warmed up here. Some bombshell Freedom of Information Act documents. I don't say bombshell lightly. These are bombshell. Because these documents that reporters had to go to court to get, because that's where we are now, in the cover-up phase of all of these terrible lies. There was a 3:30 p.m. phone call on November 3rd, 2020, that involved every Democrat Secretary of State and the voting machine companies. Why? What were they so worried about? And what did they talk about? We'll go there next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Ooh, that field of greens is cleaning me out.
Is it now? 15% off, guys, if you have never tried it.
And on the Locals page, I just unlocked the grid for the day. That's usually a subscription thing, but
today's important.
Yeah.
This is what we provide you guys. Let me tell you about this when the statistics tell us, if we believe anything anymore, but I kind of do this, that 8 out of 10 of us in our lifetimes will suffer some kind of a spinal issue. We'll have back pain. We'll have a slipped disc, a bulging disc, a herniated, et cetera, et cetera. It sucks. It's getting older things for the birds. But when you pay attention to what your body is telling you and you start to feel the pain, you got to get in charge, and you got to get in touch with Dr. Richard Rafferty from the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh. 412-906-9600. 412-906-9600. Put it in your phone. Put him as a contact in your phone, because if it's not bad now, it's going to get bad and you're going to need his help. Intradisc neutrosis. It is a non-surgical treatment that is 98% successful. that helps people regenerate their deteriorating discs. Yes, it works. Yes, it works. And after 5 years, the success rate remains 96%. Doc Rafferty is the guy. Doesn't matter where you live. They'll take your call. You'll want to see their website, pittsburghdiscinstitute.com. Don't fart around. Go to the expert. Figure out how he can help you. Intra-disc neutrosis, pittsburghdiscinstitute.com. This CNN page, by the way, goes through everything, every single thing he's done, and it categorizes it in topic and type, whether it was reversed or not, et cetera, et cetera. It's fascinating. Fascinating. Everyone sucks. I'm going to go to the bathroom too, so I beg your pardon.
What did you just talk about?
I talked about the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh.
Oh. Hey, if you do check out the locals page and you do check out the rundown that we give, can you give us a thumbs up? I'm just curious how many people check it out, and that's an easy way for me to monitor how many people are looking at it. And if it's something you want, like it's $5 a month, they kind of make us chart. They make you, not make you, but really want you to have content. And there's some stuff we're going to do maybe a couple Sunday mornings where it's just on locals lives, where we can interact with you guys. Yeah, we saw she got laid off from CBS. 800 people. This is one of those things, in my opinion, that you're seeing, like you're seeing mainstream media take a hit because they're just parroting what the government's telling them. That's why you have to look at the Matt Taibbi's and the even the Breitbarts and all the truly independent journalists and it's one of the reasons I subscribe to a lot of these guys, because it still is a business, and for them to be able to tell these stories, they do have to put things behind paywalls. Even Tucker, it's still business, and you have to be able to make a living and pay the people that help you, because no one does this alone. That's why there's 3 people writing this one story. There's just so much information that these guys need to make enough to be able to pay these people to have the time and get the real story out there. But
the Tony Bobulinski testimony, I think, and what he writes, and if you get some of the stories out there about it, they're fascinating. And what was really disappointing is how the Democrats on this committee went after him. And it's such an unappealing reality that they are running scared because the walls have closed in, and they know it's just a matter of time before they get buried beneath the rubble. And it feels to me, it smacks of such desperation, but it's so rude to the people who appear before the panel to testify. This attack sort of scenario. And we're reminded by the fact that Michael Schellenberger, who was one of Matt Taibbi's colleagues, they were testifying before Congress, and somebody from the IRS showed up at Michael Schellenberger's, or was it Taibbi's house?
Yeah.
Knocked on the door and was like threatening him as he was there, like testifying. I don't know if it was somebody who was home who let him know about it. Like, what are we doing? It's a message. We're going to make your life a living hell, dude. Do you really want to do this?
I don't know if you have to have an account to log into, to have an account to see locals.
Actually we're on a call with Rumble talking about how to use locals, et cetera, which is very exciting because it's a Facebook alternative. That's
how we're looking at it.
Screw Mark Zuckerberg. I'm done. I don't care. They can have my pages. Go do whatever you want. Put stupid pictures out there all day long.
179.
I'm done. Screw off. We have important things to do, like awaken America. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Look, I want to make it clear to you today, this is a big day, a good day to be someone who loves America, who believes in what we say every day, those precious words, liberty and justice for all, not for some, not for only the select few. And every single story that we're going to uncover today or share with you is a teaser beezer that requires, if you're interested, more of your review. And people are doing that. I mean, cataclysmic layoffs at CBS, at Paramount. Why? People are not tuning in. They are going elsewhere. They are Bud Lighting the mainstream media. Why? Because all we are getting every day, day after day, is garbage. It's propaganda. It's blatant lies. It's cover-ups. And it's to a degree that I'm not so sure I can even fathom. But we can surmise. So I want to talk about this. We don't get normal news anymore. You've got to get a Freedom of Information Act request to force the hands of government to reveal what we, the people, ought to be rightly told. That we have been scammed, that you and I have been living in one giant freaking wrap-up smear. And it goes something like this. They start at the end and work backwards. They, who are they? Well, people who wish to control our elections, people who wish to get rich and richer off of their corruption, people who have lied to us for years, whose lies have only gotten bigger and bolder and more obnoxious, people who have no other recourse than to lie because they've lied about so many things. Their lies have lies. So here's your headline, Gateway Pundit, exclusive. Freedom of Information Act documents reveal secret 2020 Election Day meeting with CISA, Dominion, ES&S, ERIC, FBI, leftist organizations, state officials, and others, Remember, safest and most secure election ever. Remember, when all the votes are counted, Joe Biden is going to be the winner. There were several tip-offs to us, in addition to just watching with our own eyes, as Donald Trump, who had been ahead in the ratings, in the poll, in the votes, in the count, in the tally, lost votes. Like, in what world in an election do votes go away from somebody? Well, when you live in the heart of corruption, that's what you get. Here's your story. It's talking about some investigative journalism, digging into Freedom of Information Act documents that completely reshape what we were told to believe about the 2020 election, specifically releasing information on a secret 2020 Election Day phone call organized by CISA. This is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. All of these places that have these names that are supposed to connote security, that somebody's looking out for you, that there's some team of gatekeepers who are there fighting on our behalf to keep things strong. These are the people who are the corrupt ones, okay? CISA describes itself as an operational lead for federal cybersecurity and the national coordinator for critical infrastructure security and resilience. Of course, since its founding, CISA has morphed into a much more sinister and political organization. So by 2020, this organization, CISA, routinely reported social media posts that allegedly spread misinformation and disinformation to social media platforms. That was all cover for people telling the truth, getting their voices silenced. Fact checkers, claims of mis, and disinformation. That was the story in order to squelch those of us who asked questions and were digging and finding the answers. Now, this is evidence that a private meeting was organized by CISA officials on November 3rd, 2020, Election Day, at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time with select members of a secret, quote, election security initiative, which is code for, oh crap, Donald Trump is slaughtering our guy. We need to pull 250 of our operatives together in all sorts of walks of life. Secretaries of State, people in the big voting machine companies, and other underlings. Bring them together. What the hell are we going to do? The list includes over 200 names of individuals, government entities, private businesses, media outlets, and at least one tech giant. The list includes a curious mix of members from Dominion, ES&S, Eric Systems, Amazon, Runbeck, Microsoft, several Secretary of State offices, the Associated Press. I know, it's a shocker. Amazon and leftist groups. 43 groups make up the CISA EISCC. It's the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency with no conservative groups represented. Nobody who's conservative is a part of this call. Nobody is part of this go-to list. Several high-profile individuals were invited to the call, including Jennifer Morrell with the Elections Group, Ryan Mackias with the Lafayette Group, Eric Coomer with Dominion. We've talked about him. If you're a frequent flyer of mine, you recognize that name. How about Jocelyn Benson, the controversial Michigan Secretary of State? Now, close to 250 individuals were invited to this 3:30 phone call organized by the CISA Election Security Infrastructure Team. The Gateway Pundit went through all the list of attendees who were invited. Okay? It should be noted that although we found liberal groups included on this list, again, we did not notice any conservative organizations included. Who are the people from ERIC Systems? Well, the ERIC voter roll system was used in 23 states. Kind of important, don't you think? 7 million registered voters. And this is just Wisconsin. 7 million registered voters in a state with less than 4 million eligible voters. How's that possible? Well, we found out that the founder of ERIC was sharing information with Mark Zuckerberg-funded organizations during the 2020 election. Might be helpful to know where you want to put your ballot drop boxes, huh? How about this? The Associated Press. For some reason, Associated Press employees were invited to join this call on Election Day. At least 9 Amazon employees were invited to listen in. Democracy Works. This is a leftist get out the vote group that drives voter participation. They were involved. By the way, the group is funded by the John Pritzker Family Fund, Trump-hating Pierre Omidyar's Democracy Fund, all these other left-wing organizations, including Quadrivium. That's a foundation linked to Rupert Murdoch's son, James, and his wife, Catherine. Interesting. Fox. Dominion, the voting machine company, had been in the news since the 2020 elections, and apparently they were all over this call too. So was Microsoft. So were Smartmatic and ES&S, and it goes on and on and on. All of the Democrat secretaries of state were on this 3:30 phone call. Don't tell us that it was the safest and most secure election ever when you are colluding with big tech, with social media, with the media, with Democrat secretaries of state, with the election machine companies. As we researched this Election Day phone call, we found out that this does not appear to be an isolated event. Apparently, all these gangs, these folks had been getting together for a while, jumping on Zooms together. In fact, a secretive event in 2022, organized by the leftist Democracy Fund, including state officials, election company representatives, and third parties to discuss the election administration. This is how they pull it off. What did they notice, ladies and gentlemen, about 3:30? It was what we were all experiencing here in Pennsylvania, in the land before time where I broadcast from. Donald Trump seemed to be doing really, really well. He seemed to have it in the bag. The numbers were rolling in. It was strong to a lot of us watching. And then all of a sudden, what happens to Arizona? Fox News, with 6% of the vote in, calls Arizona for Joe Biden. What happened during that phone call? The Gateway Pundit discovered several of the groups and participants in that 2022 meeting were also invited to the 2020 Election Day phone call. We also know that CISA has been censoring conservative content online since 2021 after Joe Biden entered the White House. You have organizations that we pay for, that our taxpayer dollars go to, that are supposed to be parts of the federal government infrastructure, that we're told are all about keeping elections safe and secure to prevent hacks. And what did they all need, of course, too? You need a boogeyman. You need a plausible demon for when things start to go sideways. And you need a complicit media who've been paid off by the Biden administration using CARES Act funding in a blackmail scheme. We will give you money during these COVID lockdowns to keep you going, but you owe us. And you know what you owe us? Silence. You will not cover election integrity issues. You will go after stories where people raise their hand and say, you know what? This is really weird. Because when I went to bed, Donald Trump was up 600,000 votes. And then when I woke up, he lost by 80,555. I'm going to talk about that. No, you're not. Are you seeing the picture? They knew, they were coordinated, they were on a group message alert. Jump on this call. We've got serious work to do. And then all of a sudden, they needed to shut down the election. All of a sudden, the coordinated mishaps in various locations. A water main break here, electrical outage there. Too many were having an issue with the machines. We're going to have to regroup and get back here in the morning, all right? Everybody go on home. We'll see you back here at 8 a.m. Really? Now, see, you're a conspiracy theorist if you connected any of those oddities that put Joe Biden in the White House. Because there ain't no freaking way that dude got anywhere close to 81 million votes. And your federal government made it happen. Quick timeout when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. This is scary. Putting the squeeze on the Second Amendment. How credit card companies are flagging our gun purchases. Wait, say what? Get ready. Next. Election interference. This is why they needed to send all of these people away. The January 6th hostages, they are but pawns. They are smokescreen pawns. They were the necessary collateral damage to give to the media. You've got to focus on these people. Meanwhile, those of us were like, what? So, Jacob Chansley, what did you really do? Well, I walked around. I said a prayer. Then we got a video from Trump that was later scrubbed from the internet, during which he said, everybody go home.
Peaceful.
Go home. Pay attention to law enforcement. We are law-abiding people. Be peaceful and go home. And Jacob Chansley, in full QAnon shaman garb, stood outside on the steps of the Capitol and said, or wherever he was in front of some huge door. One can only presume it was leading into one of the chambers, what have you. And he's like, hey, everybody, our president just said, go home. Let's go. Jacob Chansley got 41 months, spent 11 of them in solitary. And yet these people rigged a fake election. They used machines that were bogus. They used a mail-in ballot scheme that Zuckerbucks funded. No wonder they want to take your guns.
Puts Josh Shapiro's
what a douche.
Comment in context, real context.
The minute
now.
It happened, you and I were like, say what?
3 days prior, when all the votes are counted, Joe Biden will be the winner.
Because Right? It's been amazing that they've run interference this long.
And
But
then
think about the web of silencers out there. I mean,
and it
it's-
wasn't just Trump. Sean Parnell got
oh, Jesus
swooped
Christ.
up in that.
I didn't do anything. I really am not a fan of this stupid camera.
It's going to move.
No, it's not. Son of a mother. I hate you. Okay. Ah! Oh, for heaven's sakes. Ah. I'm so angry right now. I totally blew a break when I could talk about the Simkovich Concussion Institute. I need Dr. Simkovich because the chemical imbalance right now.
Yeah, I'm about to beat my head off the wall. I'm
Oh
going to
my
need them.
gosh. I've got like schmutz in my eyes, driving me nutty. I mean, just go with me for a minute on what this Freedom of Information Act request has revealed. All of these people are they're either employed by our federal government, which we freaking fund, or they're independently wealthy and dirty scumbags who use their money to corrupt our elections. They had to use COVID. I mean, think about all of this. Doesn't it make you wonder about everything regarding COVID? Was COVID actually the bioweapon they were using as a standby if everything else looked like it was going to be too difficult for Joe Biden, that they were going to launch a virus? They were going to release a virus on the world, regardless of unknown collateral damage, to frighten everybody into staying home. They turned neighbors on neighbors, family members against each other, and created a total panic over something that they created that with our money. And stupidly, I just, I get up and I try to do the right job every day, the best I can. I work hard. I don't tell lies. I try to provide for my family, squirrel away for tomorrow, pay my taxes, don't break the law. I mean, it's not complicated. So who in Washington doesn't suck? That's the question. And what's the final straw in all of this? To take away your guns. Because when you're awake and aware and ticked off, you've got information. And if you're a firearm owner who believes in the Second Amendment, your right to self-defense, and your right to defend yourself against a tyrannical government, no wonder they want to come and they want to strip you of that. And every single suspicious bill, every stupid idea that infringes on your Second Amendment rights needs to be shot down with a freaking .50 caliber. It can't even rear its ugly head. That's what's at stake. Headline Breitbart, Visa, MasterCard, and American Express implementing a code to track gun purchase information in California. God, does California suck. One of the most beautiful places you will ever go in your life, with some of the most fabulous people. Destroyed by these folks. Listen to this. Visa, MasterCard, and American Express are implementing a special merchant code. Isn't that sweet? To track gun and gun-related purchases in California. Now, don't tell me it's because we've got an uptick in transgender folks going haywire and taking guns into places and trying to kill people, because that's definitely a fact. That's not why this is happening, of course. CBS News reported that the new merchant code will be used to comply with a, quote, California law that will allow banks to potentially track suspicious gun purchases and report them to law enforcement. This comes after major credit cards adopted and then rescinded plans to use a new merchant code to track gun and gun-related purchases nationally. On September 11th of 2022, Visa caved, in fact, to pressure from gun control groups and New York Democrats, agreeing that flagging gun and ammo purchases via merchant code, agreeing to do that. The Associated Press observed that MasterCard and other major credit card companies also agreed to flag these gun sales. And so people catch wind of this and they fight back. All of a sudden now, if you're I don't know, I want to protect myself because I live in an area that's been turned into a Democrat freaking hellscape and my family's not feeling safe anymore, I'm going to go get a gun. I'm not so fast there, Sally. Bing, 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 bing. You have been flagged. You know, this manipulation, this trampling of our rights, of our freedoms constitutionally protected. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. You remember when Kamala Harris was named Joe Biden's running mate? Just totally preposterous. How many people went out? We did. How many people went out and bought a gun? How many people went out and were like, oh, snap. I see the writing on the wall. I better stock up on ammo. How much is enough? It's never enough. Am I a rabid gun enthusiast? Am I going to run around and shoot a bunch of stuff? No, but I'm going to be prepared. I'll be prepared for anything. I'll be prepared for them taxing and making unaffordable ammunition. I'm going to be prepared for them coming after our firearms, knocking on our doors. You say that's not going to happen. Really? Look, this has already happened. If Bank of America, which has got to suck more than most credit card companies, right? If Bank of America can tell the federal government who of its customers were in and around Washington, D.C., that specific zip code, from January 5th to January 7th, and give that information over to the federal government with no questions asked, Houston, we've got a very big problem, and it's deep. And we haven't even gotten into the meat and potatoes of why I'm frustrated today, my friends. Why? Because coming up, and let me just open the door to this conversation. Coming up, we're going to share with you a link to an hour-and-a-half discussion that I dare say will be the most important hour-and-a-half you spend this week awakening from the trance of the wrap-up smear. And it is Michael Schellenberger, Matt Taibbi, and another independent journalist, these folks from the Twitter files. And by the way, Elon Musk, thank you, sir. Without you buying Twitter, none of this would be out. None of this would be happening. These reporters would not be awakened. Taibbi and Schellenberger uncover a plot by the CIA under Barack Obama and with Hillary Clinton to spy on 26 Donald Trump associates, Mike Flynn, Carter Page, George Papadopoulos, and a laundry list of others to spy on them with the sole purpose of finding a way that they could create the narrative that Donald Trump was connected to Russia. It's disgusting, and it will blow your mind next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. All right, so now I can tell you about the Simkovich Concussion Institute, as you want to bash your head. When you get results, so many people who write me and say, hey, Wendy, I went to the Simkovich Concussion Institute after a car accident. I was injured in this kind of an accident. I got hurt playing. My daughter got hurt, blah, blah, blah. When they say to me the speed with which they leave Dr. Simkovich's office feeling ridiculously better, that is the one theme I hear all the time in these testimonials. It doesn't take a month. It doesn't take a week. I noticed life-changing differences after the first treatment. It's called intensive treatment protocol. Basically, that's what they do. Come in, give us 3 hours of one day, give us 3 hours of the next day. And I guarantee you, you're going to not only get your life back, you're not going to need to keep the next 2 appointments because it happens that quickly. That is what Dr. Charles Simkovich does because he understands traumatic brain injury at the chemical level. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. 412-366-3700. 412-366-3700. And when I tell you about the staggering number of people in the hospital who are elderly who die in the hospital because they have fallen and they have suffered a traumatic brain injury, it is a serious, serious issue. Just get him in your Rolodex, like I said, Dr. Raff. Dr. Charles Simkovich, 412-366-3700, because it works. My vision is really unfortunate. I'm struggling with depression about that. Need to go to an ophthalmologist. Can't wait. All right. So how many? 2,600 comments so far over there that I see. That's outstanding. Let's see what we have with you guys. I said I wasn't going to make mention of anything, so I'm not, but it looks pretty nice so far.
New open alert. New open alert.
This is very exciting. You know, and how much of this stuff, as we consider this hack, I don't know that for a fact. That's not fair. This Republican who was never an anti-Trumper, an anti-MAGA, pro-choice Republican who lost woefully, if I'm not mistaken, in New York and taking over George Santos's seat. It begins at the local level. John Guandolo is right. He says it every single day.
John on the app called you out for a lie. Hate to tell you.
Why?
He's on the roof fixing
the internet.
The internet.
Is that so? Wait, who's calling me a liar?
John.
Guandolo?
No.
Oh.
Protecting the innocent.
Oh. Well, screw him.
Wow. Wow.
Screw
that
you,
escalated
John.
real fast.
Is it my friend John Edwards?
No.
Not Dallas John?
No. No rush at 10. We got a new open alert.
No rush at 10? What do you mean?
Yeah, because I typically
no rush
play
Limbaugh. I didn't understand what you were saying. All of these details, like, it's truly fascinating. It's truly fascinating. And it's infuriating. See, they get an end result. What do you want? We want this to happen. All right, how do we get from here over to there to make it happen?
Well, we have the news media speculate people close to the story. I tried to wash off all the filth this morning. I couldn't scrub hard enough.
So this is Schellenberger, yes.
Yes. If I didn't use all the things I subscribe to, I'd just start subscribing to people on
Substack. That's where we see Gary Varvel, right?
Yeah.
My boyfriend. I do like
He does keep me sane.
I do like me some Gary Varvel.
I love when he puts out emails and stuff. He keeps me sane.
He's great. Also, the CNC guy, Coffee and COVID. Is that what he is? Isn't that his handle? He's awesome. He's a lawyer, and he does like a synopsis of 5 or 6 of the biggest stories of the day. But he's a really adept writer. He's great. I love his stuff. All right.
A lot of people have jumped over to locals.
Is that right? What do you have?
We're 3 away from hitting 1,000 today. 21 new members just today.
Just know that we do put the rundown up every single day. If you are a subscriber, if you pay the $5 a month.
Today it's free.
Today it's free. So check it out. That's what you'll get. And we give you our roadmap every single day. So if you are like most people and you have a finite amount of time to pay attention and get caught up, that's why I think the podcast is huge. That's why 2 million people have downloaded it onto their device, right? It's a 39 to 40 minute snippet.
It's the whole show.
It's the
just
whole
minus
show, but
us.
it's minus all the other jazz. So it's like, it's condensed. I like you when you're here, but it's great to have you. Thank you, Sherry, for putting it up there. Appreciate that. How many mods do we have?
4, 5.
Did you make them or did they make them?
I make them. I have to go through the system and new open alert.
That's outstanding. I am going to not want to see Newsmax covering this.
Capital F.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
Tony Bobulinski, Hunter Biden's former business associates, and he claimed once again President Biden is lying. Bobulinski says he personally met with Joe Biden in California twice in May 2017. Joe Biden was more than a participant in and beneficiary of his family's business. He was an enabler.
And Hunter introduced me as this is Tony, Dad, the individual I told you about that's helping us with the business that we're working on and the Chinese. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were dealing with a Chinese-owned, enterprise run by Chairman Yi, CFC, that had strong financial support and political support from the Chinese Communist Party.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Welcome aboard. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends. Again, today we are making our locals page free for you so that you can go there and you can click on what we use as a rundown every day. Every single story I talk about, every single link, all that you need to know to get informed and to do your own research is going to be available today. We do this every single day on our locals page, locals.com, search Wendy Bell Radio. Today it's free. Tomorrow it goes back to being $5 a month. We think we are worth it. I hope you do too. So here's a headline. And this is where we're going to get into some really nasty stuff today. This is Matt Taibbi, Michael Schellenberger, and a female journalist named Alex Gutentag. And these three have teamed up together, and they have shared notes and interviews, and they've put together a bombshell 3-part series, of which today is 1. And it digs into the whole crossfire hurricane nonsense. This was the whole Barack Obama era, Hillary Clinton funded attempt to connect Donald Trump to Russia, to create the illusion that he was somehow working in conjunction with Russia, that Russia was going to interfere in the 2016 election. This is all entwined with wiretapping and foreign countries working with the DNC, one would expect, with Hillary Clinton, with the deep state, to surveil 26 Trump associates. It is beyond. And I want to read you just the synopsis before we hear from Michael Schellenberger himself, who was on with Jesse Waters last night. Jesse Waters, by the way, I would not be surprised if he's the next one to get fired because he's talking too much truth. And isn't that disgusting to say in these United States? On the Substack public.substack.com, headline, CIA had foreign allies spy on Trump team, triggering Russia collusion hoax, sources say. This is called election interference. This is called deep, dark, disgusting, gross corruption. This is a brief synopsis. We're going to get into some sound as Michael Schellenberger talks to Jesse Waters last night. Here's the story. Last year, John Durham, special prosecutor for the Department of Justice, concluded that the FBI should never have opened its investigation of alleged collusion by then presidential candidate Donald J. Trump and Russia in late July of 2016. Now, multiple credible sources tell Public, and it's a site called Public and Racket, I beg your pardon, that the United States intelligence community, including the CIA, illegally mobilized foreign intelligence agencies to target Trump advisors long before the summer of 2016. They were desperate to do anything to derail Donald Trump's presidency. The new information fills many gaps in our understanding of the Russia collusion hoax and is supported by testimony already in the public record. Until now, the official story has been that the FBI's investigation began after Australian intelligence officials told U.S. officials that a Trump aide had boasted to an Australian diplomat that Russia had damning material about Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. In truth, the U.S. Intelligence Committee had asked the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance. Who is this? Well, this is the Five Eyes, are the United States, the UK, New Zealand, Australia, and Canada. Had asked our allies in foreign governments to help surveil Trump's associates and share the intelligence they acquired with U.S. agencies, say sources close to a House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence Investigation. The Five Eyes nations, as we just said, U.S., UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. After Public and Racket had been told that President Barack Obama's CIA director, John Brennan, had identified 26 Trump associates for the Five Eyes to target, a source confirmed that the intelligence community had identified them as people to quote unquote bump, or to make contact with, or to manipulate. They were targets of our own intelligence community and law enforcement, targets for collection and misinformation. Unknown details about the FBI's investigation of the Trump campaign and raw intelligence related to the IC surveillance of the Trump campaign are in a 10-inch binder that Trump ordered to be declassified at the very end of his term, sources told Public and Racket. In the top secret documents, if they exist, proving these charges, they are potentially proof that multiple U.S. intelligence officials broke laws against spying and election interference. This binder, very interesting. So let's get to the Jesse Waters, Michael Schellenberger sound. Audio soundbite number 1. This whole thing, this whole Russia collusion nightmare, which occupied years of news coverage, which from soup to nuts was garbage. It was wrap-up smear. It was lies with a very eager media ready to spread it. Audio soundbite number 1.
Brand new details about how Obama's CIA targeted Trump and started the entire Russia hoax. For years, we were told that tips from an Australian diplomat tipped off the FBI after a random conversation with Papadopoulos, a no-name 20-something. But according to new reporting by Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi, the whole thing was a CIA setup. Former CIA Director John Brennan identified 26 Trump associates to be targeted by the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, and then those interactions were the targets and were targeted by the FBI as suspicious. And that's how the FBI launched the Russia collusion hoax. The details of this entire operation have been stored in a top secret binder in a secret room in Washington. Trump ordered the whole thing declassified, and now the rumor is that the binder might be missing.
That is a huge part of this story. So in audio soundbite number 2, this is independent journalist Michael Schellenberger from the Twitter Files. He's the guy who's breaking all of this, how it started with these 26 people. Go.
Joining me now, one of the reporters who broke the story, Michael Schellenberger. Michael, explain how this all started with the CIA picking these 26 Trump people.
Yeah, good to be with you, Jesse. Well, obviously, this is an extremely serious story and serious allegation by multiple credible sources that Public and Racket, that's Matt Taibbi's publication, have spoken to. These are people that are close to the House intelligence investigation of how the Russia collusion hoax began. The story, as you mentioned, was that, we were just informed by foreign intelligence about this. Our sources tell us a very different story, which is that this was initiated by the U.S. government. It came from within the U.S. government's intelligence community, including the CIA, that they asked the so-called Five Eyes nations intelligence agencies, that's the other English-speaking nations, including Britain and Australia, to spy on 26 Trump associates, or at least they had a list of the 26 associates that were identified. This is new information. Some people have theorized about this and speculated about it. We feel very confident that our sources were in a position to know and are very credible in this report. And it's obviously a very serious allegation because this is illegal spying and it's illegal election interference.
100% correct. And Donald Trump has known about it and has spoken out about it endlessly since it began. So this binder, 10 inches thick, Donald Trump made multiple copies of it. The day he's leaving office, January 20th, the day he is leaving the White House, Donald Trump orders all of these documents declassified. He's got the goods, right? He's going to hand all of these binders out to the media to say, with certain redactions which needed to be made, this is what's been going on, people. Wake the heck up. There's this massive interference campaign that's launched. All of these binders, apparently, not all, were gathered back. Donald Trump was going to transparently lay it out to the American people. This is what your CIA, at the direction of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, have been doing. They've been colluding with foreign agencies of foreign governments to spy on 26 people in his orbit with the hopes of finding someone, somewhere, some logical, tangential story to connect Donald Trump in some capacity to Russia, the biggest thing that the left likes to use. It's Putin's fault. He's a monster. Those people are X, Y, or Z, right? They can't find anything. It's all bull crap. They've got to create a fake dossier. They've got to create fake stories. They've got to create fake timelines, fake trails. And then they rely on the media to do their dirty work for them. It is the wrap-up smear on a federal government level that you and I have been living through for the better part of 8 freaking years. And I'm just getting started because that binder that has all of the Crossfire Hurricane documents that prove the CIA sucks so much, well, it's missing. And I bet you they thought it was at Mar-a-Lago. Might that be connected to the raid? We'll go there next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. They create these stories that people like George Papadopoulos, who over wine just happens to get into a conversation with an Australian diplomat who pretends that he hears something and he walks into the consulate, the U.S. consulate or the embassy, whatever it is. And he happens to then talk to who would then become later the director of the FBI. Right? Of this particular unit of the FBI, and just happens to reveal, I was talking to this guy and he was telling us some stuff that you might want to know. That is how flimsy all of this was. And Clapper and Comer and all of these Comey, all of these people get up and they lie in front of Congress about all of their evidence about Russia collusion. It's so disgusting. We've been living in a poorly, poorly acted High School Musical for far too long. Think about the theatrics of the January 6th committee. They bring in a producer. We've got to sell it to the people. So what do you see going on? People tuning out the media? I don't trust you anymore. You're part of it.
Thank you to the 69 people who joined locals just today.
That's nice. We'll see if you want to be back, if you want to be part of our family forever. We're kind of cheap and easy.
Yeah, doesn't take much.
We're not that difficult. Did you see what I texted you?
Yeah, I was going to text you a shocked face back, but...
Yeah. So there's more, and I think this is important. You know, CNN actually did a really good article. It's going to be, we probably won't get to it, but it's one of the benefits of being on the locals page. Because I found a website, a CNN link, that goes back over what's allegedly in that 10-inch classified binder.
Can I say that I think this is something to be hopeful about? I'm going to use hopeful, but that this stuff is starting to come out, that this stuff is trickling out, and we're starting to see it's starting to become mainstream, and people are starting to really take, and all those theories are starting to become relevant.
Hey, quickly, do I have a quick moment to talk? Ireland Contracting, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. This is a great time of year, even when it's cold out, to get new windows, and especially great time of year to get new windows from Ireland Contracting, because they have, through St. Patrick's Day, they have a 36-month, no interest deal going on right now. So you can finance, or you can get your new windows, and you're like, it's kind of expensive. Well, you can spread that out without paying any kind of penalty, no interest on it for 36 months. I'm talking about double hung casement, vinyl, wood, the kind that have the blinds in them. They also talk about doors. If you need a new front door, a new patio door, that's part of this. It's a great deal, and have them come to your house. They bring all sorts of supplies with them, so you can see these are the products. This is what we offer. Certified Pella window installer. They're really great. IrelandContracting.com, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Do not forget their son, Dan, who does the electrical work, exterior electrical work. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Have him come out. He's great. Good guy. Mid-20s. Knowledgeable, hardworking, honest. That's what I want. Sold.
We do not broadcast live on locals just because we're here on Rumble. It's kind of redundant.
So to recap, a huge story talking about how deeply the United States government, the CIA, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, all of these people were spying on Donald Trump and 26 of his associates. They were trying to interfere in an election. Ladies and gentlemen, how many times did these people break the freaking law? And they're only looking for dirt on Donald Trump to derail his presidency. It's so gross. It is so gross. Audio soundbite number 3. Jesse Waters with independent journalist Michael Schellenberger. So the CIA is getting the Five Eyes nations. You're talking Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the UK, in addition to us. Hey, work with us. We want to be able to spy on these people. We want to hear what they're up to. We'll make it worth your while. Audio soundbite number 3.
Okay, so you're reporting that the CIA got these allies to bump these 26 Trump associates, create interactions, and then call these interactions suspicious and let the FBI know they were suspicious. And that starts the whole thing. What about this binder that encapsulates this whole thing and no one knows where it is right now, or Trump has it? What's that?
Well, Jesse, we'll have a piece tomorrow that is specifically about the binder, but as a friend of the show and of yours on this, I'll say that there has been widespread speculation that this binder was the reason or a reason for the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago, and we'll be discussing that tomorrow But obviously, if this binder contains what we have been told that it contains, which may include raw intelligence, information showing that the U.S. government, the CIA and the intelligence community of the U.S. government, initiated the Russia collusion hoax, that it did not occur in the way that the official story, including the Durham investigation, had portrayed it, then that's extremely serious information. And it may be, if the FBI then went to go get it in order to continue the cover-up of this information, that obviously adds an even more dramatic wrinkle to this.
Unbelievable. And Michael Schellenberger even seems surprised himself that the intelligence community was weaponized against a political candidate and used foreign help to get it done. Think about the raid on Mar-a-Lago. So curious, isn't it? What were they looking for? Classified documents or a 10-inch binder? Final audio soundbite, Michael Schellenberger.
This is a huge, huge story. I mean, I've been thinking about it in the history of the United States of America. Have we ever had something like this where the intelligence community was weaponized against a political candidate and using our foreign allies to do it? I can't think of a more important or dramatic story.
Yeah, and then going to great lengths by using FBI raids to cover it up. That's just an absolute incredible development.
Incredible development that you've been living in a game show. Remember when Donald Trump said something very specific to Leslie Stahl, and what he was telling her on 60 Minutes was that he knew. And he said, they know I know. Sadly, Leslie Stahl didn't know. And here you go.
The biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my campaign.
There's no real evidence of that.
Of course there is.
No.
It's all over the place. Leslie,
Sir,
they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Can I say something? You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't verify
It's been totally
that.
verified.
No.
It's been, just go down and get the papers. They spied on my campaign, they got caught.
No.
And then they went much further than that, and they got caught. And you will see that, Leslie, and you know that, but you just don't want to put it on the air.
As a matter of fact, I don't know.
They spied on my campaign, and then they got caught. And then they went further, and they got caught. He knows all of it. And they are freaking out. So my question is, how do you drop this information on the American people? How do you take this, it seems like, this labyrinthine story with all these tentacles that go to foreign countries, and it goes to this whole idea of wrap-up smearing, a story of filth and suck, to smear a man, to run interference for your own corruption and criminality. Unfreaking believable. Again, all of this is on our locals.com page. Wendy Bell Radio, search for that. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, on the Wendy Bell Radio program, my papers are stuck together. We're going to talk about this, the safest, most secure election ever. You know, that's code for is paid for by the FBI. We're going to go to Atlantic City, New Jersey next.
Doesn't this make, you know, the video and the meme going around at George Sr.'s funeral?
At his funeral, when they all
looked and had this look like, oh my gosh.
And what does it allegedly say?
He knows.
Is it say he knows?
He knows it all.
I think it's like he knows everything. I'm sorry.
And let me say, Schellenberger or Trump says, essentially, they got caught. He doesn't say it this way, but this is what I heard. And then they doubled down and they got caught. They don't even know which lie they're covering right now.
That's just it.
Which one do we cover? Which one do we cover up?
When literally every fiber of your soul is a lie, it's sort of like, well, the real human being, well, I'm sorry, We've long ago stopped being human being. I want to tell you about Genucell because this is really fun. This is for Valentine's Day, which I love. And before I even get started, I'm going to tell you Genucell.com. Genucell.com, promo code Wendy. I'm going to actually click on something real fast because I want to ensure that I get the right promo code for you guys. And I want to do that before I get going. Other bookmarks. Here we go. I really enjoy using the Genucell products. They last forever. And I think they're super reasonably priced, but they're soft, they're smooth. I think they do the job. They firm up your skin. They don't have the smell or like a grease to it. Let's see here. Genucell. Yes, this is it. All right, I'm going to read this specifically because I want to make sure I don't fudge this up. So they have this thing called Genucell Gen 90. It is the new instant wrinkle treatment from Genucell. So Gen 90 instantly reduces the appearance of wrinkles anywhere you use it. So around the eyes, on your forehead, crow's feet, laugh lines, even on your chin, and it starts to work in seconds. I love it. Never worry about your skin again with this. Gen 90 technology is luxurious. It is nourishing. It is silky smooth. And best of all, it starts working in seconds and you can feel the tingle. There's a reason why Genucell has 400% the customer loyalty of other skincare brands. And right now, you can get the Genucell XV, the collagen builder moisturizer with vitamin C, the hyaluronic acid in a pure natural base for stunning results every day. And you can get this right now on Genucell.com/Wendy. A lot of these people who use products like this have tried spending thousands of dollars on harsh procedures and it doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. Make your fine lines and wrinkles disappear with this awesome bestseller package. It's on sale right now. It is the best value in skincare. So check it out. Bestseller package. That's what it's called, the bestseller package. All in one kit for you. Talk about a fantastic gift for you or someone on this Valentine's Day. I had a hard time saying that. I'm sorry. Mouth is all over the place today.
We're up to 100 no followers on Locals.
So these are people who are checking it out today?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Some of you guys have subscribed, and we appreciate that. Pays our rent.
Yeah, that was right. Brock said it last week. We had enough that
pays our rent.
The money that we spend to rent out this space.
Now we're going for internet.
Yeah. Now we're going to go for our high-speed internet and our phone service. Let's see if we can do that. It'll take a lot more to cover up our satellite uplink fee, which we pay for. Isn't that amazing? I give the show to anybody who wants it free of charge, and I pay to put it out there. That's how serious I am about putting this out there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, we've actually made no money off of radio yet.
Yep.
None.
We're using our stations as they're like beta tests.
Sure.
And proof of concept. And some stations start taking us, like Houston. It's taking us on a
hourly basis,
8 to 9 o'clock at night or something like that. Well, that's going to change, I bet.
Yeah.
You know?
Same with the people who, Florida, taking us on a Saturday, already saying that we're going to take you. But with radio, you have contracts. So when usually some of them are year-long contracts, but typically if you really want to get out of a contract, it takes 3 months. You typically have to give the radio show 3 months notice. So, but we appreciate all the grassroots donations and subscribing, and your money does not go to waste. Let's just put it that way. It's like I said, it pays the rent. And all those costs add up.
Yeah, I don't know that many people who work for free. And if it wasn't for our sponsors, I wouldn't be able to do this, which is why we appreciate it when you call like Genucell or go to Genucell and say, you know what? I'm going to go for it. or any of them. Thank you so much, because
I
it
need a new roof. I'm going to go to Ireland.
makes sense to us. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Got 100 new folks checking out our locals page right now. Locals.com, Wendy Bell Radio is what you search. We give you everything that we talk about. So you can click on it, you can read it, you can do more. Isn't it so amazing that all of what we're going through is predicated on your access to information? And our information has been so bad, I can't even fathom for how long. And as a former member of the media, for being a television newscaster for 20 odd years, I sometimes think back and wonder, how much garbage did I read? How much did I not critically think about the things that were getting put out there? I mean, think about everything we're told about the wars, about major events in this country that spark some kind of a movement for change. I trust no one anymore. I believe nothing. And I wonder how is it going to get out to enough people? How are we going to take the knowledge that we have that the people in charge of this country, who really aren't the ones in charge, are horrible people? And they've gotten us into wars. And they've misspent our money. And they've lied about COVID. And they're willing to throw away human beings on January 6th who didn't do anything wrong. And if they did, wouldn't warrant solitary confinement. We have a very big segment of our government, its entire apparatus, running scared right now. And I would be lying to you if I told you I wasn't sickened. You know, Vladimir Putin has been the whipping boy, if you will, for so many years. What's he been president? 26 years, something like that. He has been the scapegoat. He's been the poster child for all things excuse mill. Because there always needs to be a demon. There has to be a culprit in order to stoke the smoke, to blind you. But once you see, right? I mean, think about this headline. How corrupt are our elections? I mean, they're terrible. In Wisconsin, if you can have Wisconsin or Michigan, where you can have, 1 million more registered voters than you have voters who vote, or voters of the age, and you have a Secretary of State whose job is to maintain those voter rolls, and they do not, what else are you expected to conclude? What kind of dot connecting are you relegated to? You don't want to fix what's broken because you're part of the break. You're part of the scheme. You're part of the fraud. And all of this to stay in power, to run interference, to be able to be insulated from justice. You have to help steal from the American people a constitutional right of theirs to choose their representation. And all this fact-checking BS that emerged out of all of this. Anytime you see the news come out, particularly in a website, and it starts, the headline begins with no, comma, such and such didn't, such and such, you know that you are on the truth. Fact-checking isn't about facts. It's about silence. It's about squelching honesty. It's about putting in a box and sticking on a shelf people who want the truth. People who will risk their lives Tony Bobulinski doesn't have to stand up before Congress and put himself in the spotlight. I don't think Tony Bobulinski is up there trying to become famous. John Paul McIsaac did not want to become famous the day Hunter Biden walked in. He was doing his job. He had a quiet life. He lost that life because of this. We all must be very aware when the media and the Democrats in particular gang up on someone in particular too, that someone is a threat to them. Why? Let's go to this story from the Gateway Pundit. Atlantic City ballot stuffer reportedly worked for the FBI for 25 years doing this stuff. What? Is that even possible? Not only can we have a hard time digesting the reality of the Russian collusion hoax, the players involved, the foreign governments who cooperated, the complicit media who told the stories of suck, who tried desperately to take a population that for long had been on cruise control and steer them in a direction that was wrong on purpose. Is it possible that this has been going on for decades? Yeah. So we're talking about this guy, Craig Calloway. You're like, I don't know this person. I don't care about New Jersey. Well, you might. Because he was recently indicted in Atlantic City for, quote, procuring, casting, and tabulating fraudulent ballots. Who is he? Well, Craig Calloway was the former Atlantic City Council president. He was caught allegedly paying New Jersey residents $30 to $50 to act as authorized messengers and request mail-in ballots for voters whom they'd never met. Does anybody else out there think that, or does anybody at all think that the whole mail-in ballot thing is anything other than election fraud? That's all it is. Period. So the alleged crime took place during the 2022 midterms when Calloway was paid $65,500 by Representative Jeff Van Drew's campaign for, quote, strategic consulting. Representative Van Drew, by the way, is a Republican. He had paid Calloway's firm $110,000 for services in the 2020 campaign as well. So Calloway faces up to 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine if he's convicted. And it wouldn't be the first conviction either for this dude. In 2006, he admitted to accepting $36,000 in bribes from a contractor whom he helped win city contracts. And again, in 2008, when he admitted guilt in a blackmail scheme targeting Atlanta City councilmen, as reported by the New York Times. So last week, Jesse Waters reported on the story of Calloway and his operation. And a clip from that segment is put into this story. All right? On February 12th, however, Waters sent a reporter to Atlantic City to interview people in the city about Calloway and the sentiment of the community. Again, this was the Atlantic City Council president. What do you think about him? You guys know him, right? One Atlantic City resident answered my honest opinion, he's a piece of blank. The reporter followed up with, well, he was caught rigging elections, to which the woman responded, again, or is this the same one you're talking about? It's known. The people there know. The system sucks. It's rigged. You've got people here who've been deeply entrenched in the suck, who've been demonstrably compensated by people in politics, including Republicans. This is pretty much the norm in our election, says somebody else. I mean, someone's always trying to skirt around something, he said. Are Atlantic City elections corrupt? Always have been, said the guy who answered. So apparently this guy's been working with the FBI for 25 years. He's a ballot stuffer who wears wires for the feds to catch people bribing government officials. If you don't think everything in our government is based on blackmail and bribery, you're wrong. So they've got a guy who they know has been taking money. He's stuffed ballots. He's been paying folks. Hey, if you go out and you get some mail-in ballots and we can fill them out together, I'll give you $50. The more you get, the more you make. The FBI uses him. They use him. We'll let you keep doing this if you help us get information on other people in politics. You don't think they have a Jeffrey Epstein black book of their own with all sorts of things they can pull up on a dime while also controlling our elections? This isn't the only case of this, ladies and gentlemen. Have you heard any of these stories about George Soros is trying to turn Texas blue? This has been going on for years. How about this headline? 2,000 Mules Texas style. Newly discovered police body cam footage implicates a top Tarrant County, Texas Democrat official, multiple of them, in a ballot harvesting scheme. Why aren't these stories all over the place? Why aren't you hearing about this every single day? Because this is going on every single day. There's a reason every single Democrat Secretary of State's office was involved in that CISA phone call on November 3rd of 2020 at 3:30 p.m. when it was pants on fire. Holy crap. What are we going to do? We need to figure out a major way to get our guy over the finish line because he's getting drubbed. Newly discovered police body cam footage in Fort Worth, Texas, shows that the claims made in True the Vote and Dinesh D'Souza's 2,000 Mules were not exclusive to the big swing states or just to the 2020 election. The footage implicates two top Democrat leaders in the county's party, former Tarrant County Democratic Party chairwoman and now candidate for Tarrant County Judge Deborah Peoples, and the director of the Peoples Group, Stuart Clegg. Clegg was also the executive director for the Tarrant County Democratic Party, and Peoples was a member of the Tarrant County Election Board and Commission responsible for overseeing the integrity of county elections. Look, the people who are in charge of making sure everything's okay are the ones who are the most corrupt. It starts at the local level. It starts with replacing these people, with prosecuting these people, and ending mail-in ballots forever. Period. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this. Opening the door to COVID litigation. You want to talk about another hornet's nest that's about to absolutely explode? This is it. The country doing it. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Of course they're trying to turn it blue. They've got to, right?
If you guys won't vote for us, we'll find people who will.
That I've told you that in Pennsylvania, in the last 2 years, that 260,000 Democrats have changed their voter registration to Republican. I'm telling you the truth. Don't tell me that Pennsylvania is not in play. Don't tell me that New York, New Jersey are not in play.
Michigan.
Don't talk to me about Wisconsin. Even California. Let me tell you about CB Distillery. 20% off discount, okay? 20% off. You're going to get 20% off at cbdistillery.com/Wendy. And I say this all the time because we all have medicine cabinets that have a billion different things in them. From, like icy hot to Motrin to any kind of over-the-counter, I just got to stop hurting or I can't fall asleep. How many of you have had NyQuil? You've taken NyQuil because you can't sleep. And then it ravages you because the next morning you're totally like, right? Don't do that. CB Distillery. Everything you need is at cbdistillery.com. From the oils and the gels and the roll-ons and all of the products to smooth on your arthritic joints and your sore muscles, to the ingestibles that you can take that don't leave you feeling like you're hungover the next day, or that somebody came in and scrambled your brain while you were sleeping. They let you fall asleep and stay asleep and deal with anxiety and just, I got this, right? And wake up and not be cbdistillery.com. Everything you need. You can take everything else out. Just go. I love order and getting rid of clutter. That's a great job. Just. By the way, check how many of those things in your closet are expired. Expired.
If you get anything,
cbdistillery.com, 20% off, promo code Wendy.
The sleep gummies, I'm half tempted to give a money back guarantee, but I can't afford it. In the stuff that's the roll on, like the.
Why are you saying it? You're half tempted to do it
For me, saying I'll give you because it works.
To them. Oh, okay.
But you don't wake up groggy. Have you ever taken the gummies for sleep?
I have not.
You don't wake up. You wake up rest. I was amazed.
I do not have problems sleeping.
No, well, you know I do. So
I have a weighted blanket.
I've been using one.
That takes me out.
It does.
It's so nice too. Joe came home early and I had finished my Newsmax stuff and I laid underneath it yesterday and he walked in the room and he's like, uh-oh. And I'm like, yep, got to take a little 10-minute nap. Gone.
10
out,
minutes, right.
out.
Yeah.
It was 10 minutes. Yeah. So if we're just going to review briefly. So the CIA working with foreign governments to spy on Donald Trump and his campaign, the people in his orbit before he became president. Think about that. That's giant. Think about the breaking information, this binder. It's got all the details of the Crossfire hurricane nonsense. All the people who were paid. Search for. Find some kind of evidence. You know, and if you listen to Matt Taibbi and his video that I implored you at the beginning of the program to listen to by going to our locals page, just search Wendy Bell Radio. You're going to get a link to it. And you're going to sit there and you're going to hear disgusting stories. Like CIA agents, CIA operatives. They did some like games playing where they took the 26 people they were all trying to get dirt on. Somebody's got to find something that creates the illusion that Donald Trump is dirty and his orbit is connected to Russia. That they were kicking around ideas. All right, hey team, we're all going to choose a couple different people out of these 26. And I want you to kind of let's do some role playing and give me a connection that you would see between these two individuals. Because we might be able to use these people as we work backwards to create the story that Donald Trump was influenced by and the election was manipulated by Russia. It's that disgusting. I mean, you'll literally sit there and go, what? Who? Can you imagine what's going to happen when we're allowed to be honest about COVID and the vaccine and the damage and the sudden deaths and the turbo cancers and the young people dying of cardiac arrest on the pitch and the pilots and everybody? Because other countries are actually they're light speed ahead of us, years ahead of us, because we're still enthralled in the suck because our government was the architect of it. South Australian court rules employers who mandated COVID jabs can be held liable for injuries. I will not rest until these pharmacy companies, these Pfizer, the Moderna, all of them are bankrupt from all of the payments they are owing of people who have been forever changed. The women who've lost babies, women who had multiple babies before had no reason to miscarry a baby all of a sudden. Why? Why is that? I don't know. Yeah, you do. Lifesite.com, lifesitenews.com. Headline, just told it to you. Here's your story. The South Australian Employment Tribunal has found that employers who mandated that their staffs take the COVID-19 vaccines can be held liable for injuries caused. That is huge. Huge. The ruling implies that employers will no longer be able to claim that they are protected from compensation because they were complying with a lawful state government directive. Youth support worker Daniel Shepard won an appeal against the state of South Australia after it had rejected his claim for compensation following a diagnosis of vaccine-induced pericarditis, a heart condition, which he contracted from a third dose of the COVID-19 jabs. Reception of the vaccine had been mandated by his employer, the Department of Child Protection. The DCP, Department of Child Protection, admitted that the vaccine caused the pericarditis, but they said that the injection did not, quote, arise from employment, but from a lawful state government vaccination directive. Everybody twisting themselves to point fingers elsewhere. The DCP argued that the government was solely to blame. The tribunal, however, disagreed. It found that the injury arose as a result of both the government's vaccination mandate and the applicant's employment. Employment, the tribunal says, does not have to be the only or most significant cause. It is only necessary that it be a significant contributing cause of a work injury. The implication being, employers cannot shift the blame. They too are responsible. Wasn't it just, how many of you were just totally mystified by everybody in your orbit jumping onto this bandwagon? Hurry, hurry, hurry. This shot is the only thing. Rachel freaking Maddow, you clown. The shot stops it. It stops with you. If you get the shot, you're protected. Everybody's protected. Everybody get the shot. Chris Hayes, MSNBC, it's magic. Get it. It's a must-have. Did they just never think critically? Did they not step back and say, this is kind of weird? Because we've never gone through this before. This virus that, I've gotten, it sucks. It's not great, but it didn't kill me. I wasn't on death's door. It seems to be knocking out a lot of people who have some serious comorbidities. Maybe I should think critically about this. What happened to everybody? How is it that some of the most intelligent people in our lives were the first ones to fall for the scam? How is it that these people were the first ones to believe that Donald Trump was some kind of a Russian asset? When the rest of us were like, what? What are you talking about? Are you out of your mind? But they are out of their minds. They have been propagandized to a degree that some simply will not be saved. And I am amazed at these other countries. This is Australia. It's happening in New Zealand. People are awakening in Canada. People are pushing back on ridiculous synthetic foods in Italy. What the hell is going on in the United States? We're learning that this place that we love, who we would fight to the death to protect, is the darkest, most corrupt place on planet Earth. It is the place where foreign wars are started, where people are the collateral damage, and when you and I are expected to pay for it. Coming up, hour 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program, the firing of honest voices. The one journalist I really enjoyed got axed yesterday, Catherine Herridge. I wonder why. Let's talk about reasons next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. You don't even have to get into all the nuts and the bolts of the here and the there and the cross-examination and the people saying what. All you need to know is that other countries' governments are saying it out loud. All of these people are saying the truth. And here in America, you still have how many colleges and universities that are making the vaccine mandatory? Are you not paying attention? That must be the case. Hey, I want to talk to you guys about TexasBullionExchange.com. TexasBullion.com. 855-927-5557. It is great to deal with people who understand the markets, who understand finance, who understand investments, who understand timing, because the one thing that you have on your side as you're younger is time. As you get older, right, it's not so readily available to us. And so there's some really squirrely stuff going in the markets right now. 500 down yesterday? What's going to happen today? How does this impact the value of the dollar? How does this impact your savings for tomorrow? Now is a great time to call Texas Bullion and to get the ball rolling on getting some precious metals into your investments. This is protecting yourself. If you're heavy stock and bond, get some gold and silver, get some palladium, get some platinum in your portfolio. How do you do that? 412-855-927-5557. TexasBullion.com. If you go and you talk to them and you decide, you know what, I'm going to buy some coins. I'm going to buy some silver coins. I'm going to get into this with my grandkids. I'm going to give them and try to pare down my net worth, right, before it gets taxed to oblivion. And I'm going to start giving it to my grandchildren. We're going to do it with silver coins or with gold coins. Texas Bullion can help. It's a great idea. 855-927-5557. TexasBullion.com. And by the way, if you do that, promo code Wendy, 10% off your purchase of certified coins that they approve of or that they're working with. Fantastic. You really like them. You talk to them and you're like, oh my gosh, somebody who's actually listening to me and paying attention to me, who wants to know what my goals are. Kind of nice. All right, so how are we doing? And you know what I'm talking about because I'm not going to say anything.
We haven't reached 3 yet.
Eesh, 230 people. We've got 12,500 people watching. Welcome, all of you.
148 new members on locals. Oh, boy. Can't take you anywhere.
No, you can't. There's no reason for us to not hit our milestones. I'm just going to say. What were we on the leaderboard yesterday?
6 or 7? 4 the day before that.
That's amazing. It's because of you guys. It's what you do.
It's the interactions, you guys. It's the stream. It's the...
Right now I got 43, almost 4,300 comments on the...
We're well over that.
Are we?
Yeah.
Why don't I see that then?
Because every time you click over...
I see it's static on here. I don't click anything on this computer.
Even at the beginning?
No.
Oh.
Mm-mm. What am I supposed to click over to?
So you see where it says comments?
Yeah.
If you click over to that once, then click back to brand or banner, they go away. Like the number, that red number goes away.
Ah. Well, all of this, right, makes you feel dirty. But I will tell you, as we watch more and more people moving to the independent journalists, turning off CNN, getting away from their newspapers, and going and finding the voices who've tried to tell you the truth from go. And you know who some of these voices are. There's an alternate economy for news going on. It's an alternate universe. The Tucker Carlsons, the Laura Logans, us, all sorts of different kinds of people. Michael Schellenberger, Matt Taibbi. This is the whole idea behind Patriot Switch. That's the whole idea behind getting away from Target, getting away from Walmart. You know, screw you, Amazon, who happened to be on the phone call on November 3rd of 2020. Why would you be on the phone with them, Amazon? One would wonder. If you're done doing business with companies that don't share your values, go to patriotswitch.com/Wendy. Let us tell you what we're all about. The products I 100% prefer. In fact, I cannot tell you if there is a product that I do not prefer that I've purchased from Patriot Switch that comes from one of these other stores that sucks. I can't think of one. Not the cosmetics, not the lotion, not the supplements, not the granola clusters, not any of the foods, not chapstick, sunscreen, hairspray, none of it. Not the laundry detergent, the dish soap, I mean, the floor cleaner, all of it. Off the charts. To take your family's money that you work hard for and to spend it on a company that gives you the best, safest, and highest quality products and gives you an open door into Riverbend Ranch steaks. Oh my. I don't want hormones and jazz in my steak. So people are finding these alternate vendors. And you don't have to be a member of Patriot Switch to buy Riverbend Ranch steaks. You just have to click on that Wendy Bell or patriotswitch.com/Wendy and say, hey, give me some info about Riverbend Ranch. I'm ready to get meat sent to my door. Blow your mind. Period. Patriot Switch. Join us. Join our movement. It feels good. It does. It feels good at the end of the day. I have to sneeze.
Bless you.
Achoo! Achoo! Achoo!
Knock it off.
Achoo! Achoo! Achoo!
Bless you.
Excuse me. I usually don't do that.
No, you're usually a one and done.
No, I'm a threer.
Oh,
I know that was exciting. I'm sorry.
How you doing?
4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
You told us, well, it'll be time to panic. Well, is it time to panic? Well, let me just tell you, folks, it's never going to be time to panic because we're never going to give up. We're not going to give up on America. America's worth it. America is worth fighting for. America's worth not giving up. And while we have that attitude of not giving up, we are constantly going to be searching, strategizing, coming up with ways to prevail. We've got the basics. We have millions and millions of Americans that are fed up, can't wait to do something about it. There will be a series of ideas that people come up with based on dealing with the fraud that we know we have to deal with. You're not alone. You're not a singular individual all by yourself out there trying to fight these people by yourself. There are 74 million plus and growing. We're not going to give up on America.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program is officially on the clock. Catherine Herridge from CBS, formerly of Fox. Just one of the best. Just one of the best. You would have no idea what her political proclivities are. No clue. She digs into facts, presents the evidence, and allows you to decide. She tweeted something out yesterday, and I want to read it to you. And it's a letter written by James Comer, Jim Jordan, and Jason Smith, the holy trinity of the House oversight situation. And they sent a letter to Merrick Garland. And the letter sort of said thus. They said, look, we understand that Robert Hur sat down with Joe Biden in October of last year. They spent a lot of time together, 5 hours. And we want to get the whole transcript. We want to hear everything. We want to know everything that's going on with regard to the classified document situation. And last night, Catherine Herridge was let go from CBS News. Simon Ateba from Africa Today or Africa Now, News Africa Now, whatever, who's been also blackballed by Karine Jean-Pierre and the White House press team because he asks questions that are not scripted and he's not a pre-chosen operative in the press pool. He actually asks questions. And they were like, we don't like you because we don't like your questions. Really? So when he sent this out, I was shocked, but not, because this is the whittling away of trusted voices who are not part of the suck. Period. And that's why I say Jesse Waters is probably soon. He's been on too many of these hot button subjects. He's done what Tucker was doing. So when Simon Ateba tweeted out, breaking, respected American journalist, and that says something. Respected American journalist Catherine Herridge has just been fired by CBS after her recent reporting regarding this. And this, as we know, this request by this House oversight guys. We want to see the transcript. How bad is Joe Biden? How gone is he? That's part of the transcript. When he doesn't understand things, he doesn't recall things. And what is this party desperate to do? What is this deep state, swampy, yuck, the whole strategy? You go after the person who's telling the truth. You try to demonize them. You try to dig up dirt on them, throw them to the wolves, all hoping that people will lose sight of your scent and fall off the trail. That brings me to this headline, which is encouraging and goes back to my opening idea that this is a great day to be an American, because more and more of us every single day are awakening. People are moving away from the mainstream media because all of these people have done, all that they've tried to do is lie to us. Now, all is a very broad brush. Do I believe that the journalists involved in the lion's share of the reporting, etc., are the ones making the decisions? Absolutely not. There is a mechanism, a framework of orders that trickle down. But every single news organization knows exactly where the limits are. There are off limits, verboten areas you are not allowed to go. Why would that be? Because they're in on it. And Americans are tuning out. Bloodbath at Paramount claims 800 jobs, including CBS News journalists embroiled in controversy. So this is the New York Post. That's the headline. Following these trends is huge. What do we know about Sports Illustrated? They basically bagged everybody. How many cutbacks at the Wall Street Journal? How many at the Washington Post? How many at the LA Times? I mean, it's huge. Why? People do not trust the media, and they ought not. And so instead, they watch Tucker Carlson. Instead, they pay and go to Substack, and they check out Lara Logan, or they check out Matt Taibbi. This is the result of it. Several CBS News reporters were caught up in layoffs at Paramount Global that claimed 800 jobs, including one who's embroiled in a high-stakes First Amendment fight and another who's reportedly weathered HR probes over his workplace behavior, the Post has learned. Catherine Herridge, an award-winning senior correspondent whose First Amendment case is being closely watched by journalists nationwide, was among the hundreds of employees at CBS Paramount who got pink slips on Tuesday. Wow. The carnage provoked outrage from the rank and file at CBS, with some focusing their ire on Paramount Global CEO Bob Bakish. Bakish, who cares? Who pulled down $32 million in total compensation last year, despite the company's ever-shrinking financial profile. Everybody in the newsroom is pissed, it says, that Bob Bakish is making over $30 million and he's making these cuts. One insider fumed. Elsewhere, some suspected the layoffs were more than just cost cutting. Sources said Herridge had clashed with CBS News president Ingrid Cyprian-Matthews, a sharp-elbowed executive who was investigated in 2021 over favoritism and discriminatory hiring and management practices, as revealed by the Post. She's going to be one of these diversity hires who comes in to implement the DEI agenda of suck. where certain people are elevated and others are what? Passed over? And who's elevated? Those who check the requisite boxes. Sorry, white people. Sorry, dudes. You're expendable. We've had enough of you. Sources said CBS News Washington Bureau, where Heritage covered national security and intelligence, was hit particularly hard. There's also a CBS News correspondent who apparently was involved in some HR things, and he got the axe as well. This is a triumph. This is not, I'm not saying that people should lose their jobs and that we rejoice in people losing their jobs. But these sorts of stories belie a bigger trend that you can only con and lie and make up and deflect and point fingers and run out the clock and obfuscate for so long before people say they've had enough. I'm not interested. CBS also has 60 Minutes. Mr. President, this is 60 Minutes. On television, as across the world, people saw Leslie Stahl try to tell Donald Trump, who seems to know everything, and he seems to know everything a lot longer in advance than anybody else does. So weird, isn't it? How does he know? CBS broadcasting its suck every single Sunday on 60 Minutes. It's been awful for years. So this is what we're watching today, ladies and gentlemen. And she had been working on this pretty big story with House Oversight, wanting Merrick Garland to respond and to give to the American people through House Oversight a transcript of what Joe Biden and Robert Hur said for 5 hours. He should not be protected from that any more than we should not know who's been visiting him at his various residences or where he goes on vacation, because they don't keep visitor logs. I think they do at Camp David, but that's not where he takes the primary 40% of his vacation time, 40% of his presidency on vacation. These journalists are the last connection between you and me and the truth. And they are being carved out of the equation, which is why these conversations on Substack and other platforms are so important. You know, when they say, look what the president has done, that's one of the things that they like to say on the left, talking about Joe Biden as diminished faculties. Oh, don't listen to his words. Just look at what he's done. Look at the jobs. Look at all of it. Well, look at it indeed, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to do that. I want to quickly dabble a little bit into these jobs numbers, because there's an inconvenient truth that's bubbling forward that they sure as hell don't want on their campaign ads. And I have it for you next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. If you notice with your dog, you start to notice that they aren't as energetic or they don't seem as enthusiastic, and you're looking at them and you're like, well, maybe they're getting a little bit older and they just don't, they're not moving as fast as they used to. That could be it, but it could be in their gut. It could be stuff that they've eaten, and the food in specific that we are feeding them that can do some pretty gnarly stuff in their digestive tract and have a nasty effect on them. From the coat, whether it's shiny, whether it's soft, to their eyes, to their energy level, to how their breath smells, how their poop is, all of it is connected. So do not chalk up a dog's seemingly getting a little bit older as that's the only reason, because there could be something more. And that's why I want to talk to you guys about Dr. Gary Richter. He is considered America's favorite veterinarian, and he's helped thousands of dogs with all sorts of issues that seemed kind of impossible to remedy and to solve. And Dr. Richter did, and he made this video. And if you go to ultimatedoghealth.com/Wendy, the video's there, and it tells you what he has found in so many of these dry dog foods that they pressurize and they bake everything out of it. There's something that goes on in there, as it's got to have a shelf life of a couple years. That is not great for our pets. And you might want to know about it. I do. I want to know about it. ultimatedoghealth.com. Okay. ultimatedoghealth.com/Wendy. This video is going to open up some eyes and maybe help you down the path to reclaiming your dog's puppy years. Does your dog prance anymore? Because Murphy prances still, and he's 7. Does he do that to you? Because Murphy performs for us, especially if I'm watching. He behaves a certain way because I don't know.
All dogs, different dogs. The big thing about pit bulls is that they're, will maul your face off.
Yeah, I know.
You're right. That's something that you
experienced.
Fake news, right?
He was all over me.
Mine is all about up in your grill.
Yes.
If you're sitting on the couch, he needs to be he doesn't understand personal space, at all.
Murphy likes to lean against me, which I think is a sign of trust.
It is.
Oh, listen to you, the dog whisperer.
It is. Well, no, everybody knows that.
Oh, well, I didn't, apparently. Jag.
Sinatra, I mean, if you fall asleep on the couch, he crawls behind you to where it's you, him, the couch.
How does he get in there?
He
burrows?
Yeah, he keeps nudging you until you move. Yeah.
See, our pets are not allowed on the couch.
Well, that's because you're just mean. My dog...
He's not allowed upstairs or downstairs either.
My dog is allowed to go wherever he wants. My theory is, if you don't like it, no need for... He lives there, you don't.
Oh, well, I don't care how you do it.
Yeah. He sleeps in bed with me. He snores. And then when he releases...
Ew, I can't imagine that you sleep in bed under covers with a dog.
Well, I'm not under... He has his own little area. He sleeps by my feet. He likes to, lean up against me and sleep by my feet. But when he releases the gas...
Okay, I don't need to hear that. Why? Why do you have to go there? I already think
because
you're
everyone
gross.
that has a dog knows those sons can clean a room.
Okay. Ew. That's not where I was going with this. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Hey, do we have 30 people? Please?
Now she's begging.
I'm trying to go back to the beginning of today's show and backtrack all of the things that we've spoken of, because if you've been questioning, if you've been watching from 30,000 feet the way we try to, and sometimes you get snarled into it at ground level and it's hard to see because you're all on the same playing field, right? But you got to go up to see the machinations of the game, of the suck. I don't know how you root out the degree of corruption that is clearly here. And you have to go back to Tucker's interview with Vladimir Putin. When Tucker asks him about Nord Stream. And he says, who blew up Nord Stream? Do you know? And Putin says, you did. I was busy that day. I have an alibi. He says, yes, well, your CIA has no such alibi. He knows. Of course we did it. We didn't do it. But of course our government did it. Of course our government is doing these things. Of course our government gets involved in foreign wars. It's money. Of course our government pushed a vaccine. It's money. Of course our government wants open borders. It's money. It's your money. And it's like a blank check to them. How do you get all of it done? How do you get all of it out? How do you present to the American people the story of how woefully corrupt and depraved the core of our government is. And then you think about how many of these Republicans are going along with it. They're just as guilty. So one of the few things I think that Joe Biden tries to campaign on is this idea that he is this phenomenal job creator. Once we establish the predicate that Joe Biden has made no decisions, right? None of this matters. He can sign a document and say, oh, yeah, this is an executive order, blah, 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 whatever. He's not the guy in charge. We know this. He's not in charge. He's not calling the shots. He is woefully incompetent. He is not an academic heavyweight. He is not a leader. He does not instill faith or trust in any of us. Nobody walks away from hearing Joe Biden speak and say, you know what? I want to go hug a flag. I love this. I feel so connected to this country. The one thing he's tried to use is people getting back to work after COVID, trying to say that he generated all these jobs. I created 14 million jobs. Well, that's his dementia speaking. Factual. But it's also total BS. Did you know that all of the jobs recovered post-COVID under Joe Biden went to foreign-born workers, including illegals, not to Americans? This is the Center for Immigration Studies. All right, this is where we found this. All employment growth. This is the Bidenomics plan to screw Americans. All employment growth has gone to the foreign-born. 183,000 fewer U.S.-born Americans are working than they were in 2019, before COVID. Yet the number of immigrants, legal and illegal, working is up to 2.9 million, 2.9 million. So 183,000 American-born citizens, 183,000 fewer working today than they were before COVID. But immigrants, legal and illegal, those numbers are up 2.9 million. Comparing the fourth quarter of 2019 to the fourth quarter of 2023 shows 2.7 million more people working in the United States, 2.9 million more migrants, immigrants, legal and illegal, and 183,000 fewer U.S.-born Americans. Since the depths of the COVID recession in 2020, employment has increased for both groups, but the number of U.S.-born workers has not made it back to the 2019 pre-COVID level. Why? Equally important, the share of working-age U.S.-born men without a bachelor's degree, not in the labor force, deteriorated in the decades prior to 2019, and the rate in the fourth quarter of 2023 was lower still. These individuals do not show up as unemployed because they've not looked for a job in the 4 weeks prior to the survey. Do you know what that makes them? That makes them connected to the potential for serious issues. Suicide, crime, drug overdose, social isolation. These are people who are not college educated, who've given up on working for whatever reason. They just don't. And their numbers are excluded from this data. So what do you have? You have a surge of 3 million foreign-born workers who've gotten jobs in this country since COVID. And you have a complete cataclysmic drop of natural-born, U.S.-born workers, particularly men without college degrees. Great replacement? By design? Sure looks that way. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
We're over 50,000 on TikTok.
Did Michael just say that?
Yeah.
That's awesome. He's been working really hard for us. If you do not follow us yet on TikTok,
and if you are on TikTok,
Toolsy, my son, does a great job. And if you are on TikTok, what?
Everyone always chimes in with, I don't do TikTok because it's Chinese, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, everything is Chinese.
Yeah.
So let me tell you quickly about More Gains Fitness. So this is Valentine's this week through Saturday. Anybody who is a member at More Gains Fitness in Somerset and Cambria counties is invited to bring a guest, somebody you love, a friend, a family member, whatever, and bring them in and allow them to use the gym and its facilities for free and check it out. And if they like it, Kelly's going to have a bunch of membership specials, or at least a membership special, to make it worth your while to join. Look, I want to go somewhere, and if I'm going to get hot and then I'm going to be a mess, and I will be a mess if I work out, I want to be around people who I enjoy being around, and the conservative values that you get when you walk in the door. More Gains Fitness is super nice. So get someone you love. Love is in the air, she calls this promo. Get yourselves over to More Gains Fitness and see if your guest wants to join as well. More Gains Fitness, MORGAINZ Fitness.com. There will also be referral credit given to the current member if their guest joins. That can knock down some bills. I like that.
I like watching the locals. We 172 members today.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I have mentioned it like 7 times, and I mean to, because we're on the radio, and so people are tuning in at various times. I think that this story is a very interesting story. Because
The one coming up?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to run real fast.
Imagine that. I know some of you don't like TikTok. I think I am not a big TikTok user. If you're on our new site, Shazizzle, or the new app, the TikTok goes at the bottom. You can see the TikToks on the bottom of the screen. And I think there's a lot of people getting a lot of information out through TikTok. You know, it is what it is. You know, it's Chinese run. Listen, they're stealing your stuff on Facebook. They're stealing your stuff on Instagram. I mean, you name it. You name it. They've hacked it. I mean, there's a reason every time you open something, you're seeing a commercial about something you talked about. And you're like, I never looked this up. And you look down and you're getting advertisements on your phone. So I think it's Toolsy on TikTok. I think there's a lot of, and Wendy does not hate animals. I mean, Sinatra would not leave her alone when she walked in, and she would not leave him alone. And Murphy is completely loved. I get molested every time I go there. Yeah, Toolsy just said it's Toolsy on TikTok. Better? Better?
Oh my gosh. Well, I have several supplements that I take from Patriot Switch. I have a collagen boosting one, a couple different things, a vitamin B thing and D and a multivitamin, and they work their way through your
Marine,
system.
$25.
Aw.
Hang
Jim.
them all, let God sort them out. I agree.
Jim, thank you. That's so nice.
I am not defending TikTok. I'm just saying that your information is being stolen by every social media out there.
Factual.
Like you do you. Like it. Do I use TikTok on a daily basis? No. Do I use Facebook on a daily basis? No. I'm just saying I've seen some interesting stuff on TikTok when I was on there. But you do you.
of investigative journalism. You want to know what it's called? Blood money. Blood money. Why the powerful turn a blind eye when China kills Americans. And it's got all this. It's a picture of Joe Biden with Xi on the outside. #1 New York Times bestselling author. See, it's funny, this isn't already a bestseller, but if Cassidy Hutchinson, who was like, I totally saw Donald Trump, he lunged for the steering wheel and he said, take me to the Capitol, right? Well, she gets a New York Times bestselling moniker. It's ridiculous.
And he probably actually wrote the book.
Right? Come on. I'm just going to read you a blurb by this. Politico Playbook exclusively reported on Wednesday, so just moments ago, the Government Accountability Institute president and Breitbart News senior contributor Peter Schweitzer has revealed China's disintegration warfare plans to kill Americans and sow social chaos. And the 7-time New York Times bestselling author is set to expose all of this in a new book that publishing giant HarperCollins hails as a towering achievement of investigative journalism. Now, look, I'm amazed that HarperCollins, first of all, is publishing this. I'm beyond amazed that they would come out and publish it exuberantly with the exclamation point at the end, calling it a towering achievement. The book's cover imagery and title are already sparking discussions inside official Washington. Look, whatever is going on in this book, you've got people who have been dogged, who have been determined, who have been deplatformed, who've been demonized. They've been fired, all of this stuff. And they're like, really? You think that's going to dissuade me? Now you've really ticked me off. Now I'm in for keeps. And this stuff is coming out. Politico Playbook, which broke the exclusive on Blood Money's forthcoming publication, revealed that the book's dust jacket features. You ready? Do you want to know who's in the crosshairs of this? California Governor Gavin Newsom, Dr. Anthony Fauci, Representative Adam Schiff, President Joe Biden, President Xi, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as well as images of drugs, guns, and stacks of cash. Lawmakers and their staffers are trying to obtain early copies, said a publishing industry insider. But like all Peter Schweitzer books, the publisher has this one under the strictest of embargoes. Indeed, the release of this book has become somewhat of an event on Capitol Hill. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it feels good when you know people who suck might actually get called out for it. So in that vein, there's something that I think is very positive that we need to talk about. And I get that it's easy to get bogged down under all of these headlines and to feel like, oh my gosh, we're screwed. Like, I mean, how much more screwed can we be? Is there any way to gut all of this corruption out? Almost as it feels as daunting as it is to get rid of, 7 million people who do not belong here, who need to go home. But I've got this story, and I think it shows something very interesting. Here it is, exclusive. 30 House Republicans urged the GOP to protect Second and Fourth Amendment rights over mass government surveillance bill. Now, you could get lost in the weeds here, and you'll say to yourself, that doesn't really sound very sexy. Why is she excited about this? Every single lousy story, every headline, every soundbite, all of the data, the BS boards, the resource tab, all of the things that we've tried to present to you over the last 4 years, and really 30 if I'm to include the entirety of my media career. It has been necessary because you need to know. And you need to know that there is a framework that is forming before our very eyes in Washington, D.C. And it's not at Donald Trump's behest. It's beyond that. It is MAGA. It is Make America Great Again. And the people who are aligning in this framework, these 30 House Republicans, should give you great hope about where we're going in the next chapter of this American story. I'll quickly get through the subject of this, but then I want to read you these names, because these are the fighters. These are the people who scare the everlasting liver out of the swamp. 30 House Republicans sent a letter to House Republican leadership Tuesday, urging them to protect Americans' Second Amendment rights while the House considers reauthorizing a controversial government surveillance program. We want to urge you to protect the Second and Fourth Amendment rights of innocent, law-abiding gun owners from the Biden administration's exploitation of a lawless government surveillance loophole. The House Republicans, led by Representative Warren Davidson from Ohio, a staunch privacy advocate, wrote to Speaker Mike Johnson and House Majority Leader Steve Scalise. The letter follows as the House moves closer to voting on legislation that would reauthorize the controversial Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Conservatives have argued that privacy reform has to go further than merely reforming the abuses around Section 702, considering the number of abusive government practices. So we know, they know, the surveillance, the CIA, the 26 Trump associates, that's the tip of the iceberg. It's all over. They're surveilling you. They surveil me. They can get your cell phone data. They can track you all over the world. And they do so using loopholes in the law to allow them to get away with it. The conservatives noted that for years, federal government agencies and other law enforcement agencies have circumvented the Fourth Amendment by purchasing Americans' private information, including phone location data, through data brokers. The lawmakers wrote that not only does this undermine Americans' privacy, it also infringes upon the intent of the Electronic Communications Privacy Act of 1986. Ordinarily, these agencies would need a judge-issued warrant before forcing phone or tech companies to turn over their customers' location data. But creative government lawyers have decided that the Fourth Amendment does not apply to Americans' sensitive personal data if the government buys it from data brokers. Scumbags. The embrace of this legal loophole by government agencies poses a serious threat to Americans' privacy. Hello? It further undoes Congress's clear intent in protecting precisely this kind of sensitive information through enactment of the Electronic Communications Privacy Act of 1986. Location information and other private information about Americans' lives, including where an American prays, where and when they drive their children to school, and if they visited a gun store or a shooting range. The threat to Americans' Second and Fourth Amendment rights is not limited to the government's purchase of its location data. Commercial data brokers openly sell marketing lists containing the name, address, and other personal information identifying gun owners and shooting fanatics, as well as specialized lists like concealed carry licensed gun owners, affluent gun owners, and age 70 plus elderly gun owners. Unfortunately, the same legal loophole that the Biden administration has embraced to purchase Americans' location data could equally apply to the purchase of commercial lists identifying gun owners. And the 30 House Republicans or conservatives said it is vital that any legislation that the House considers to reauthorize this Section 702 of the FISA Act should close the data broker loophole, considering that Congress has a once-in-a-generation opportunity to protect Americans' right to privacy. Who are these people who signed this bill? That is what I want to get to now. Because you're going to recognize some of these names. They are staunch, frequent flyers who vote consistently with our values. Warren Davidson, Andy Biggs, Clay Higgins, Michael Cloud, Andy Harris, Barry Moore, Andrew Clyde, Tom Tiffany, Thomas Massey, Josh Brecheen, Keith Self, Bill Posey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Paul Gosar, Eric Burleson, Lauren Boebert, Troy Nels, Bob Good, Matt Rosendale, Eli Crane, Alex Mooney, Ben Klein, Gus Bilirakis, Dan Bishop, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing some of them wrong, sorry, Mike Collins, Anna Paulina Luna, Andy Ogles, Matt Gates, Randy Weber, and Chip Roy. Now, you don't know some of those names. They don't come up commonly. Some of them have. They've been the ones who forced Kevin McCarthy to make certain concessions before they gave him the gavel. Some of them are the voices pushing the impeachment of not just Joe Biden and Alejandro Mayorkas, but others. These are the voices that are aligning in what should become a new conservative framework for America. They're awake and they're fighting. And that is good. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, and you know what? Lib of the week. It's too good. It's too good. Especially if you like cats. Next. Like some of these people, I don't know. I don't know who Josh Brecheen is. I don't know him. He's not in my district and he doesn't make a lot of waves. I don't know who that is. Andrew Clyde, I've heard of. Barry Moore. And I don't know who Andy Harris is. Do you know who Andy Harris is?
No.
I don't. Warren Davidson. Who are you? These people are seeing it, though. Who are the voices you do recognize? Andy Biggs. Staunch. Clay Higgins. Massey has different views on some things than I, but he's staunch. How about MTG? Boebert, Troy Nels, right? He's been outspoken. Eli Crane, not somebody who you hear from a lot. Guy's involved. And his voting is consistent with what you would consider conservative voting. Dan Bishop, another one. Billy Rakis. Gus Bilirakis. Don't know you, Gus. Sorry, bud. Mike Collins. Love Mike Collins. What a great pickup. Anna Paulina Luna. What a great pickup. Gates is always strong. Chip Roy. Don't always agree with Chip Roy, but I appreciate his passion. I think it's great. I love that they're freaking melting down about this freaking book. It's so great. It really is fantastic.
Hey, if I bring in my shaker, you're going to share your Field of Greens tomorrow?
Sure.
Over 5,300 comments.
It's amazing.
The end of the week.
I wonder if CNN is picking up on this. CIA 26. Would you check when we're back for me? I'm going to say no. Actually, maybe I can.
You mean CNN.com?
CNN 26.
Negative.
Trump, CIA, Taibbi. So just to see where your legacy media, where they are on this whole bombshell headline, and absolutely it is, that the CIA illegally mobilized foreign intelligence agencies to target Trump advisors long before the summer of 2016. I go over to the Wayback Machine and I say, you know what? Let's see. Let's see if CNN is on this. CNN 26 Trump CIA Taibbi is what I type in. Nothing. Nothing. There is no indication here that CNN has any clue that the CIA set off the Russian collusion hoax in 2016 when U.S. intelligence officials recruited foreign governments to freaking spy on the Democrats' American political opponents. That is the nexus of all of this. So anybody out there who wants to say, Donald Trump, did Donald Trump try to steal an election? Did Donald Trump try to rig it? Did he try to get his people to stuff votes and ballots in ballot drop boxes? Did Donald Trump hold a 3:30 freaking phone call with 250 other people, including the Republican secretaries of state, and ask them to help out? No. Donald Trump has been indicted 4 freaking times. He's been accused 19 times by women during the course of his presidency and after of some kind of sexual trauma. Nothing has stuck. Nothing. He's been a Russian spy, right? He's been a schemer, a wheeler, a dealer. He's been a racist. He's been a homophobe. He's been a misogynist. He apparently hates black people. Is it so 91 criminal charges against him. And he's got to go through the system, go through the process so that you and I can see what is really going on. And what is really going on is the jig is up. And more Americans know it. Multiple credible sources telling independent journalists, Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger, that the U.S. intelligence community, including the CIA, illegally got in touch with foreign governments, Australia, New Zealand, maybe even the UK and Canada, and said, hey, we need some help. They didn't have a predicate to search for. They were looking for a reason to be able to sink Donald Trump. They have been so frightened. Their hatred, their seething loathing of one man whose policies are undeniably the best of my lifetime. They're running scared because they're ensnarled in this blackmail bribery scheme that is Washington, D.C. And 2 of the heads of the snake, the filthiest people out there, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Unbelievable. So we do something every week called Lib. It's every Wednesday. Lib of the week. We believe Hump Day is a day that we could celebrate, we could get behind, and it's not complicated to find people out there who are just a little different. And these people we have to deal with in our students, our kids' schools. Just so you know, these people are out there, and this is what they think. I want you to hear, first of all, we've got a little teaser beezer sounder.
Time now.
There you go.
For the Wendy Bell radio programs.
So love me, love me, love me. I'm a liberal.
Liberal of the Week.
Sorry about that. I got ahead of myself. I want you to hear this mom. She is very upset and is considering possibly legal action against her child's school because he is special. Go ahead.
My son identifies as a cat, and his school is not taking that seriously, and I am honestly planning on suing them. So yesterday was the first day of school, and during class, he was licking his paws, and his teacher told him to stop, and he didn't. So she called me, and she was like, hey, you have to get your son to stop doing this during class. It's really distracting to the other kids. And I was like, I'm not going to tell my son that he can't express himself. I have raised my son to be who he is. And I just think that it's really sad that these schools are trying to indoctrinate children and, you know, putting them in this mold to make them think that they need to act like a human, whatever that means. He's not a human. He's a cat. Anyway, I am planning on suing them because they don't accommodate for him. And I just want to know if there's any other parents out there that are having this issue, because we can put together a class action.
I mean, where do you go?
This is why you need a license to be a parent.
I was just gonna say you don't need a license. You can get what you have to get one to drive a car, but you can have a baby and be a mess and totally pollute that child. Please, I hope that that's a joke. It's not. What's going on? Well, I feel sorry for people. There's a reason why I say that there's a good chunk of this society that will not be saved. That they have gone so far to the progressive cliff. They're dangling over the side. And certainly they're just waiting to be released, to drop. But it's scary. This is who we're up against. And this is who the left needs to carry their water. Keep us all arguing. Keep the smoke flowing into your eyes. Remember, follow us. Every story we gave you, available right now. Locals.com. Put in Wendy Bell Radio. Thanks for being here. Hope you're back tomorrow, because we sure will be. Peace.